like take the communion and stuff.
Oh, do y'all?
Yeah, but it's like Hawaiian bread dipped in grape juice, and it's really fucking good. That's why we take the communion. It's insanely good. So good, in fact, that the first time I ever had it, I literally went to H-E-B, bought Hawaiian bread and grape juice, and sat there at night eating Hawaiian bread and grape juice. Because
you were taking communion by yourself.
it's so good.
That's awesome in so many ways.
It's like the best like toast and jelly ever, but it's not toast and jelly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Well, Crossroads used to use the I think it was like Smucker's grape juice.
Yeah.
And that stuff would taste good too.
I know.
This is Twin Stick Radio, episode 59 for the week of March 7th, 2019. I am one of your hosts, Trey Higgins, and I'm joined by Chris Rodriguez.
Hello.
And Justin T. Lopez.
What's up, everybody?
A quick note about the show. We're recording on Thursday because we had some difficulties on Tuesday. And
Human difficulties.
Human difficulties. And also, if we sound a little bit different, it's slightly more echoey than normal. We're in a bigger studio right now recording.
Yep. Or if we sound better.
We're not going to sound better. It's going to sound a little bit more echoey.
Yeah,
that's true.
Not that much echoey.
Yeah.
Because we've engineered this room for no echo, but a bit of reverb.
I'm sure that was loud, though.
No,
well, also, we're not using like Studio A quality microphones, so that doesn't help. So, Chris, before we got started, this is also going to be a shorter podcast because we have D&D soon. Chris, you were going to tell everyone what you've been doing this week.
Takes off.
Yeah.
So on Netflix, there's a new documentary called Behind the Curve.
I'm way ahead of you.
And it's about flat earthers. Oh my God, it's the greatest.
Wait, you know about this?
I've seen it already.
Oh, it's the greatest.
I was like,
documentary.
I thought you were just making a pun.
It is the greatest fucking documentary in the world because
really good,
I
dude.
am beyond enthralled by flat Earth theory. In no way, shape, or form do I believe and or support it, but I am enthralled by it because I love. And so this movie actually made me feel kind of bad for them, just because they did the whole gyroscope thing, and the gyroscope measured a curve of 15 degrees every hour, and then they did the light test.
See, everyone points out the light test.
Well, the light test makes perfect fucking sense.
It doesn't, though.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't. So as much as I'm not a flat earther,
Wait, before we go on, can we explain the light test?
Okay, so imagine you have about a 4-mile distance.
Okay.
There is a camera on one end of 4 miles, and there's a light on the other. And in between those 4 miles, there are 3 panels with a hole in them. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, if the Earth is flat, if you hold the light up at the exact same height as the camera, shining through the holes, if the Earth is flat, you should see the light. 100%.
it would shine straight through.
If the Earth is curved at even a 4-mile distance, you will not see the light because the light is going to basically hit the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah.
It'd be hitting one of those holes, basically.
Right. It'll miss the hole because the hole will be higher up.
So, like I said, so not necessarily defending them, but against this experiment. A flat earther is not saying that there are no hills or mountains or dips in the earth, because that would affect it too.
Sure.
You know?
But
so even if that person was standing in a little bit of a dip.
But to be fair, they were in the California desert where it's completely flat.
Yeah, true.
It is the flattest land of flat.
I grew up at Edwards Air Force Base, and in between Edwards and the nearest town, Rosamond, there is this just flat lake bed, that dried up lake bed that fills up when it rains. But it's a scene that they use in a lot of movies because it's super fucking flat.
Yeah,
so they can get really long shots of like one of the more famous scenes is that scene in the first Transformers movie where Optimus Prime is in the semi-truck and he does like a fucking U-turn in the middle of this road and goes down.
Yeah, it's also where they do the land speed records because the lake bed's so fucking huge. It's just a flat surface.
When they strap rockets to cars.
Yeah,
and go.
basically.
So if the Earth was flat, that test would work.
Yeah, so anyway, if the Earth was flat, that test would work, and that test did not work.
Right.
Because the last scene of the movie is them setting up this thing, and all these people have hope, it's going to work, and the camera's rolling. He's like, okay, turn the light on, and they're like, oh well, we don't see the light. He's like, are you sure you're shining into the hole? The guy goes, yeah. He's like, well, raise it above your head. And the light shows up on camera, and it's like you could just see the guy's face go.
But the one word he says after that is Interesting.
And
that's it.
This is interesting.
It's like interesting.
And then there was another test that a lot of people have been trying to do, or they've done to try to prove that the Earth doesn't have a rotation. Because if the Earth is flat, we're not rotating.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if the Earth was flat, a gyroscope wouldn't measure rotation. However, they got a laser gyroscope, which is like a $25,000 thing, and it's the most accurate gyroscope in the world. And so these flat earthers bought it to prove their theory, and in every instance they tried, the gyroscope is measuring a 15-degree turn every hour.
Oh man.
I just like the part where he's standing across a lake, and he points out, like, in the distance you can still see Seattle, and then he starts going on and on about a little bit of things, and he's like, "This is why we're beating the scientists right now, because scientists, all they can do is throw out numbers and math. I can point out Seattle and be like, boom, there it is."
But then, like, see, like, and my thing is, if I was there, it's like, okay, well, what's past Seattle? Some city in Canada, if you're looking to the north, right? Why can't I see that city too if the Earth is flat?
Well, I just love that he's like, all they're doing is throwing out math and numbers. Yeah. You mean the things that make sense?
It's a great fucking documentary.
The problem,
it really is.
the problem with the flat Earth theory, is that it's not about science. It's not about facts. It's about a group of people that believe something and feel attacked. Like,
sure.
in a lot of ways, I feel like flat Earth theory encapsulates the problem with the internet. Is that like, you can believe something crazy and not be able to back it up with science, and kind of like, it's almost like a religion to these people.
No, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And people are so like vicious towards them, that it's sort of created like this defensive posture where like facts don't matter anymore.
And the problem is in psychology, there's plenty of theories that back this up. It's that in science, you have point A to point B, and Tim Price. He's an author. He's a science fiction author. Yeah. He had a really good illustration. He said, scientists and most logical, rational thinkers start at point A. They want to get to point B, and they shoot an arrow, and the arrow is science. The arrow is the way I figure out the point A to point B. What he said, a lot of like religion, flat earthers, cults, stuff like that, they start at point B and they fire out a whole bunch of things to get them back to point A.
Yeah.
And they choose what works to get them back to point A.
Well, I think that's also a problem with the way that science is taught in schools, is that like we're told in school.
We're told that the earth is round.
No. But I think we're told in school that scientists form hypotheses and then they try to back up. I don't care. They try to back up said hypothesis with facts. And so like in a lot of ways, like flat earth theory is high school science fair.
That's
Sure.
true.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
you come up with an idea and then you figure out why you're right.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and I've always asked this question because the craziest thing to me is that, well, what is at the border of the Earth? Well, there's a 200-foot wall of ice that encircles the entire flat Earth
that we globers know as Antarctica.
And as Antarctica, right? Antarctica is just one giant 200-foot wall that circles the entirety of the flat Earth. So I asked, it's like, but it's only 200 feet. Like, I could climb 200 feet. Why didn't you go with something like 19,000 feet that seems impossible to climb?
But also,
so
like
then
Jon Snow could climb
Jon
that.
Snow can climb 200 feet. So my question is, then I was like, well, what's past the borders? Oh, well, we got that figured out. There's another mass of water with more continents beyond that we've never seen before. So it's a mystery. Right. And what keeps that in? Another wall of ice. So we're basically talking about Atlantis here, right? You've got this main landmass, wall of ice, more land masses, wall of ice, more land masses, another wall of ice. That's how the flat Earth is.
But it's funny because they're almost describing like a solar system in that sense.
Almost.
but also like if you went to Antarctica, you could in theory sail the entirety of the Earth by following this circle.
Well,
in theory.
In theory, sure.
Like if you went like 360 degrees from Antarctica, in my mind on a globe, if you went 360 degrees, you wouldn't be going the entire Earth if you just followed I don't know. Does that make sense?
No.
You'd be going in a circle, like basically around the bottom of the globe. But in their mind,
that's a wall.
You're circling the wall because Antarctica
If
would
you
always
could-
be
if
on
you
this.
could-
Antarctica would always be on the same side.
If you could see
you're
a-
going around
If
it.
you could see a map of the flat Earth, you'll understand it.
No. I think I do understand. I'm trying to picture like how you would prove that wrong with the globe. Because if you went on one side of the globe and went a full 360
Well,
on
they
one
don't.
side of the
They
globe,
don't, but you can't prove it wrong.
No.
'cause They don't believe in globes.
but like I'm talking about how it would work actually because we are a globe, right?
Oh, sure.
I don't know. I'm trying. Like I'm visualizing something. I'm not able to explain it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because if you tried to sail in a circle on theoretically like a flat circle side of the Earth, you'd be missing the other half of the Earth. So you wouldn't be passing every continent.
Sure, I guess. So, but then the next question is an interviewer from Nightline, I think, asked him, is like, well, why don't you just get a plane and sail in one and fly in one direction? And he goes, well, that's our next thing.
It's not hard to do.
Well, no, it's not. If you spent $20,000 on a gyroscope, you could have just spent $20,000 on a plane.
Probably less than that.
Probably
but yeah.
less than that, and flew from one end of this flat Earth to the other. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
I'm sure somebody would fund that just to disprove.
I'm sure they
them
would
wrong.
too. I'm sure they would too. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that would fund a end-to-end flat Earth destination just to say you ended right back where you started, because
Right.
that's exactly what's going to happen.
This is a learning exercise.
Sure, yeah.
If you guys,
Sorry,
No,
but
go ahead.
but once again, they will. It's that psychological theory. It's like, oh, they'll be proven wrong, but they will try to find their way around being proven wrong,
Right.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get back to A.
They would say it's some sort of hoax, or
Exactly.
you didn't actually get on a plane; it was all fake.
Yes, exactly.
Their belief is their belief.
It's just buy like a commercial airline and then just put all
of
flat
them
earthers on one plane
Sure.
and just send them across.
Just send it
It's
to
just
the sun.
it's so interesting.
It is interesting.
If you guys haven't listened to us before, we are not a podcast about flat Earth theory.
And we should be.
Hey, we are a podcast about video games, and we record weekly. We'll be up late this week, but for some people, this isn't late. Some people just listen to it on Friday or Saturday whenever
Sure.
it goes up.
Or they're just listening to it whenever.
Yeah,
They're like me,
they're
and
like
they listen to it at all.
times. We start the show usually by talking about what we've been playing, but because we're on a time crunch, we're just going to jump straight into the news. And if we have time, we'll talk about what we've been playing. Although I'm pretty sure it'll come up in our conversations. First up on the news, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 2 writer Chris Avellone revealed on Twitter that he has been contributing to the writing of Respawn's upcoming game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The Star Wars show revealed that the game will be getting a full reveal at the upcoming Star Wars celebration in April. It's pretty neat.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of like the same when they're like, oh, the writer from Spec Ops: The Line contributed to Star Wars Battlefront 2,
Sure,
and then
yeah.
the story sucked in that
Well,
game.
I mean, also it's like Chris Avellone wasn't the. I don't think he was the only. He wasn't. He was a co-writer of KOTOR. Drew Karpathian is the one that actually sat down and wrote KOTOR.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it was KOTOR 2. I don't know if Drew Karpathian
okay.
wrote KOTOR 2.
Okay.
I might have mistyped that.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
Or
Drew
misspoke.
Karpathian's the one who wrote KOTOR. That's why it's so fucking good.
Yeah, this guy used to work for Obsidian. Yeah, it was KOTOR 2.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Here's something for you guys. This is like the first part was the part where only Chris and I can talk, and now it's the
Right.
part where only the two of you can talk. Tetsu Nomura has confirmed that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be receiving free and paid DLC in 2019. He described the free DLC by using a harder difficulty as an example, and said that the paid DLC will expand on the story of the game and give new insights into various characters.
I just realized we didn't skip the first news, but that's it. You didn't have anything else to say about that?
Not really. I mean, because it's
Even though we may get a new Star Wars game in 2019.
it's a new Star Wars game by EA, and while I like Respawn,
Do you think it'll come out in 2019?
No.
while I like Respawn and I love Star Wars, like I'm just kind of at the point with EA Star Wars games where it's like you need to show me and not tell me. Like show me what you're doing and make me have faith, because I just don't believe you in
But
any
EA
other optimistic light.
But EA and Respawn made Apex Legends.
That's a fact.
It's the greatest game
There we
ever.
go. It's a Star Wars Battle Royale game.
I wouldn't be surprised. Literally would not be surprised if that was it.
Please don't speak that into existence.
I would not be
It's only a
surprised.
matter of time.
It is actually.
Battlefront 3. There you go.
Yeah.
You guys excited about the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
No?
No, you're not.
No, not really.
I mean, what do you think it would be about?
Not Sora.
Yeah, that's true.
So not really.
I assume maybe Kyrie.
Sure,
because
maybe.
that whole thing, they just like you get like 2 scenes of like, hey, they're doing this training. but
Sure,
you never really
maybe.
see it. I could see that.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe some Riku and Mickey stuff.
Yeah, sure, maybe.
My thought is that, again, I don't understand this, and I'm sure like I'm just throwing shit at the wall, but spoilers for the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. You guys talked about how basically Sora's like, I'm gonna go save Kairi, and then like the next scene, Kairi's there hanging out.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it could be that whole
I
adventure.
feel like that's something I would want to do, is like fill in the gap between the end of the game and Sora saving Kairi.
Sure, yeah, but the things Kingdom Hearts fans want to do and the thing that Tetsuya Nomura gives us is 100% the opposite, always.
Yeah, fair enough. But also, it's Tetsuya Nomura, so it could be another Final Fantasy 15 situation where he just cancels the DLC because it's turning into too much.
Sure, which I would be fine with. I'd rather Nomura get back to Final Fantasy 7 Remake now, to be completely honest with you. I just want that game to come out now.
2025.
I wasn't even expecting like Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC.
Neither was I.
So it's not something that I'm like, oh, I really want. It'd be cool to have. Like I'll play it.
Sure, it's one of those things. It's like I'm okay till Kingdom Hearts 4, to be completely honest.
Right.
Unless they have a
20
whole,
years.
unless they have a whole new like plot line like Birth by Sleep or 358 to come up with, because everybody's home and everybody's happy, and there should be no.
It's the end of the story.
Yeah,
Everyone
there should
lives
be no
happily
exactly.
ever
There
after.
there should be no turmoil whatsoever.
Why go back and like
And
stir
start
the
something,
pot?
yeah. Unless you're going to start introducing new things, then I'm okay with. Then I'd be good with that. But I don't want to. Don't go back and like pull Roxas and Xeon and Axel out for another adventure. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like it would just be like, hey, here's what some of these characters are doing while you were being Sora.
Yeah, sure, possibly.
While you were being Sora. In an interview with Nintendo Dreamweb, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Game Director Masahiro Sakurai, there we go. I know his last name, I just don't know his first name. Revealed that due to stomach issues, he sometimes worked on the game with an IV drip. Although he made it clear in the interview that he had ultimately decided to work under these conditions, his interview has sparked more conversation about working conditions in the gaming industry.
That's intense. I mean,
Whatever.
what?
I've played a show with diarrhea once. Does that make a difference? I chose to play the show.
Well, I think but I think that's the issue, right? Is that like in the interview, he's basically saying Nintendo didn't make me do this. I chose to do this. His whole analogy was, I'm a freelancer. So to me, if I can sit down and knock out a shit ton of work at one time, that means I have more time in the future to do other things like other jobs or just hanging out. So I chose to work like this so that I could optimize my time. So I think that's my issue with the conversation that's happening.
Sure,
it's
I
like
guess.
no one forced him to do that.
Sure.
Right.
Then can we stop? Can we get the fucking social justice warriors to back off a little bit? Then, like,
It's true. I don't really see the controversy in it. But
I don't either. I personally don't even see the controversy at Rockstar anymore, but people still bring it up.
Well, I think the controversy is that, in theory, if I showed up to Alamo Draft House carrying an IV drip, my manager should send me home.
Which he more than likely would.
Would happen, and I
100%.
think the issue is that in the gaming industry, they wouldn't send you home.
Yeah,
in theory,
I think they would. Right. I wouldn't even call that a theory. I'd call that the ultimate assumption, because people writing about this aren't necessarily in the video game industry.
Well,
people have definitely come out and been like, yeah, we work long hours, but all those people also said it was our choice to work those long hours. All of them.
I think that Rockstar and now Sakurai, because I don't even think the conversation is about Nintendo, I think they both represent, they're like poster childs for this issue that it has nothing to do with them.
Sure.
Because like there are stories from credible sources, and there are a lot of people that like are now working on the journalism side of the industry that talk about this in interviews and stuff, of people like having beds in their office and not leaving, like actually not leaving the office for 72 hours during crunch or whatever. And I think that's a problem, but I think my issue with the recent conversation with Rockstar and with Sakurai is that, like, let's not pretend like these are the two biggest offenders of this situation.
Sure, but even like that, having a bed in an office and staying at the office is not a bad thing. People do that all the time.
I think
that's not just the video game industry.
Right.
But when you have a team of like 400 people that are staying in the office for 72 hours straight, that's where it becomes an issue. It's
Sure,
one thing if you're CEO Chris Rodriguez leading a company.
but I seriously doubt there's a fucking sleepover of 400 people all at the same time.
But that's what's been reported.
Well,
is that
sure.
like you have like these large numbers of, it's not just an individual,
Sure, but you know what
it's
else?
these large teams that are
Yeah, but you know what else has been reported by credible sources is that Anthem's breaking PS4s and it's not.
Well, we'll talk
And
about that
all
in a second,
but that's my point. There's credible
Also,
sources.
There's a difference, though. There's a difference between those two situations. The credible source that's reporting bricking PS4s that everyone keeps citing is a random Reddit user. It's not like this is IGN coming out and saying, yes, it bricked our PS4.
Sure.
This is from multiple sources. Like the problem with the gaming industry comes from multiple sources across multiple different companies.
Sure, but it's also humans wanting attention.
That doesn't mean that it's not true, though.
Yeah, but it also doesn't.
But
It also doesn't mean it's not false.
And also, you have companies that aren't, like, aside from Rockstar, you don't have companies coming out and refuting these claims.
Well, that's because nobody's pointing out certain companies.
That is 100% not the case.
Well, name one company that somebody's come out and like this was my working conditions at this company.
I'm
and
pretty
the company
sure
didn't say
Blizzard has
something
had these
about it.
accusations. I'm pretty sure that at least one or two of the Call of Duty teams have had these accusations. DICE has had these accusations.
And
like,
nobody said anything about it.
the companies haven't. People
sure
have been
they
talking,
have.
like people have been reporting on it. But let's operate under the assumption that this is true. Like, is it a problem?
No, because it's a worker's choice.
But it's I don't know. I
of
don't,
course it is.
I don't think it is.
Of course it is. It's always a worker's choice.
It's the publisher's choice because
No,
the publisher
it
is saying,
the
hey,
publisher, under.
let me finish my point
Under
real
legal
fast.
American law,
The
the publisher
publisher is-
cannot make people work more than they
no,
choose
but what the
not
publisher
to.
can say is, hey, we need this game by this date. You need to have it done by then.
Well, I think
and
that-
so you
Sure.
have teams that are rushing to get it done by that date
Sure.
so that their project isn't A, canceled, or B, money isn't taken away
Sure,
from the studio,
which is why
preventing
there's
their,
which is why
their
there's
ability to stay open.
which is why there's 400 people working at a studio, so not all 400 people have to be working at the same exact time.
But if you have
It's called
large
shifts.
if you have large teams staying behind for inordinate hours to meet publisher demands,
Which is
that's
their
a problem.
Which
That's
is
not
their
a choice.
Yes, it is.
Your funding comes from your publisher. If you don't meet publisher demands, you get punished, which means that you lose a job. To protect your job, you have to stay and work for inordinate hours. That is a problem.
But it's literally against American law to make people work more than certain hours certain hours in a week.
Which
But there-
is why
but there's-
publishers covertly threaten people by threatening their jobs.
But that's
Right,
an
there's
assumption.
ways-
You're
there's
going
ways
not
you
an
can make
assumption. That's
people
how
work.
that's how
You're-
industries work.
but-
It's not just the gaming industry.
you're going off
It's the
of-
same with movies and everything else. Like this is a problem across the board. Is that like we get around these laws of forcing people to work by threatening their jobs if they don't perform the way we want them to. That's not an assumption. That's fact.
No, to me that's an assumption. Like that false sense of just job security may come from and fear from the actual worker. And I'm not saying that it doesn't necessarily exist, but I am saying that this whole thing is so blown out of proportion because I don't think it happens on a daily basis. I don't think people would be rushing to get into the video game industry and make video games and do all these things and go to school for 2, 4, 6, 8 years to get into an industry where this is the working condition.
But I think that's exactly why they would be doing these long hour practices, is because they know that they're relatively easily replaceable. There's a lot of people who want their jobs, and if they are slacking off, or if they aren't meeting these demands or their timelines that they're set up for,
Sure.
then they might lose their job.
Sure,
and it's
and
not
I'm-
necessarily that they're getting forced to like do these things, but they know if I don't, I might get replaced.
Sure, which is probably in the contract they signed at the beginning of their job.
I mean, yeah, but it's.
What do you can't.
I don't think the
you
argument.
decide
Comes, I don't think the argument comes down to like, are they being forced to do these things? I think it is up to the company as a whole to set up a healthy work practices. If
Sure.
that makes sense.
I agree.
If they're allowing for unhealthy work things to be happening within their company, that does fall on
Sure,
them.
I completely agree. But again, I don't think there would be millions or hundreds of thousands of people wanting to get into this industry if the common work practice was what you're saying.
I don't think that most people know that that's the common work practice until they get into the job. Like, I don't think that the majority of the people that are graduating college right now are expecting to work. these
Then
kind of
why
hours.
isn't every single game developer coming out and speaking against this? Like every single one.
Because I think it's just you have these old hats that have been working in the industry for 20 or 30 years at this point, and this is how things were before anyone gave a shit. And so they're just kind of stuck that this is how business is conducted and this is what we do, which we see across the board, across all industries, is old hats accepting old ways because that's how they were. I also think that, again, that it comes down to, if you're a developer, if I'm BioWare and I'm like, hey, so EA has basically made it to where we have to crunch and keep our people here and work these hours, and delays in games are unacceptable. BioWare's not the great example for that because they delay their games like 4 times. But let's just say in a world where they put their games out all the time when they should be, or when they say they're going to put them out, if they came out and said that, then there's a good chance that they could be punished by EA. Like, if you're working for a publisher that isn't saying, hey, you have to stay here, but is tying your success to meeting certain deadlines, you're not going to come out and speak against the company because you're still reliant on them. They're still paying your people's checks.
Sure, but
that's why people are coming out as anonymous sources and reporting this to places like Kotaku, because they can't say it as employee of said company.
But also, if you look at most of the anonymous sources, they're former employees.
Yeah, because that takes the risk away from them being caught and potentially being fired.
Well, no, they're former employees coming out. Mm-hmm. So there's no risk in getting caught.
Exactly. That's why they're doing it as former employees.
But why stay anonymous if you're former employees coming out talking about former work conditions?
Chances are you're still because chances are you're still working in the industry.
Also, why is it that the majority of game developers, when you see them and you talk to them and like, hey, what blah blah blah, oh, this is the greatest job in the world. Sure, I'm really tired. Sure, I work long hours, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, but I don't know.
No matter the work schedule.
Also,
like if you ask me, it's like, hey, you make zero to no money, but I still wouldn't trade it for the fucking world because I'm doing my dream.
I can't speak why people say they like their job, and I would assume that most people probably do like their job because, like, as someone who is taking computer science classes, I love programming. I absolutely love it. I love sitting down at a computer. I love writing code.
And you still want to get into this industry even though you know the conditions now.
Well, I think as someone who knows about this industry, I can probably make a more informed decision about where I'm working.
Right.
But
so doesn't that fall on the people? Doesn't that fall on the people?
Let me finish my point real fast. When I'm sitting down and programming, it's great to sit there and programming. You know when I absolutely hate programming and when it causes me the most anxiety? When I'm an hour away from a deadline for an assignment. Like the time rushing where I'm finishing up code, because it takes a while. It's like I can parse it out over 3 or 4 days, but like it's not, sometimes I'm running up to the wire. That last hour when I'm trying to make sure that everything's right, or I'm trying to fix one bug, or I'm trying to figure out like what part of my code is broken that's not making the program run, I absolutely hate my job. And I can imagine if I was working for a video game company, 90 days out of 100 days in the year, I probably really love my job. But those last 10 days or 2 weeks where I'm rushing on a product and I can't leave the fucking office because we have 1,000 bugs that we need to fix just to make it shippable or pass certification for Sony or Xbox, which apparently isn't a real thing anymore. Like I could understand that part of that time not taking up the majority of what I think about my job.
Okay, but are you going to let that make you go to Kotaku and be like, this is the worst conditions I've ever worked in ever?
No, I don't think, like, as a person, I don't think that I would ever, I don't think I would ever complain about my job to a news source.
Sure.
Unless like something actually bad.
And that statement, like, as the type of person that you are, that has a huge amount of give, because the type of people that go and complain to news sources and talk about these bad things even though they were working their dream job are the people that hold resentment against the company, and the people that are just for some reason, probably got let go for whatever reason, decided not to work or whatever it is. It's people that need the attention, those are the people that go to the news.
I would be wary about making a blanket statement like that, though, because in some situations there are times where someone has to basically be like a whistleblower. Like, it's not always. I don't know. I'm not saying this isn't the case. Them being former employees kind of makes it a little messy, because are they more credible because they work there? Sure, but do they also
are they
possibly
less credible because they're former employees?
Do they have a tainted view of it? Like they'd want to take down whoever just 100%. Fired them, whatever? Sure, that's also possibly the case, but I don't think that we can just assume that, because That would be like assuming anytime anyone speaks out about any wrongdoing.
Sure, but that also goes to my point. You can't just assume that they're telling the truth.
But to me,
Well, you would have to take with a grain of salt.
I mean, to
Right.
me,
You know?
the way that I sort of look at this situation, and then we should probably move on.
Right.
To me, the way that I look at this is that I don't. It doesn't, to me, the employees, whether or not someone's telling the truth, telling the truth. I assume that this is true, or that this is some version of the truth because enough people have come out and talked about it. To me, the issue is not about employees. It's not about people choosing to be there. It's about the fact that I think that as an owner of a company or as a publisher, you have a responsibility to make your industry better.
Sure.
And I think that the way that capitalism works, if you can take advantage of your workers and get away with it, you're going to do it. Everyone does it. Like in every job that I've ever worked, there is some level of taking advantage of employees legally because they can do it. I worked at Buc-ee's for 2 fucking years. You worked 8-hour shifts straight. You weren't allowed to have more than a 5-minute break for lunch. So you would go grab your food, you would run to the back room, eat it real fast, and be back on the floor. You also were not allowed to sit down during your shift at all, unless you were on the fucking toilet. Like, none of that is illegal, but it's something that Buc-ee's can get away with. So they can get away with paying you 7 hours, for 7 hours and 55 minutes of the work.
Pretty sure some of that is illegal.
Probably not in Texas, though. Texas is weird with work laws.
Maybe.
So going back to the Sakurai and Rockstar problem, my issue with these two situations is that we are elevating them to problems when objectively they are not problems.
Sure.
Like, people chose to do that. These are people's choices. And
Sure.
if someone chooses to do that and there's no pressure from the company or no pressure for job security to do it, and they're just doing it because they care about a product, who the
Sure.
fuck are we to tell them that they're wrong?
Sure.
Right. That's just work ethic if it comes down to
Yeah,
that.
but I would assume most of the people that choose to work those 70-hour work weeks are doing it because they love what they're doing. I would.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, but I also think that pressure, you shouldn't feel like you have to do that in order to protect your job.
Sure, but once again, that's all going into assumptions. That's all going into that's
this is my baseline. I'm going back to my baseline of I believe that most these stories are mostly true. Like that is just how I feel, and I think that whether or not you believe them or you do believe them, you are on the same side of making assumptions.
Sure.
You are either assuming that everyone is lying or telling a bigger version of the truth.
Sure.
Or you are assuming that the worst in companies.
Sure.
Both of those assumptions are going to taint the way that you view this conversation. But if you assume that that these stories are mostly true, then companies need to be better.
Sure.
Right.
Unless they're not doing anything wrong.
Again, I'm assuming that they are doing things wrong.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So
I think it's just all just it. I think it's just something at this point. It's just something to pay attention to. Should we take Rockstar and this Nintendo IV guy?
Sure, absolutely.
Should we take that and blow it up? No, but it is something like, this could be an issue.
Sure, and I mean, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think I 100% agree to the point of saying, like, hey, if this is a problem, it needs to be fixed, right? But just because they have a lot of people coming out and saying it doesn't make it true, because there are hundreds of thousands of people that believe the Earth is flat. That does not make it true.
But you could also make that counter argument for believing that it's false.
Well,
You're
exactly,
100%, you're 100% right.
So on both sides of that, like it's like you just have to choose what you believe and then form your opinion from that.
Sure.
And also the bigger issue about all of this is that it's not up to the three of us to change the industry. It's up to the workers.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the workers have to want to change it. And if they continue to
100%
not
agree with
change
you.
it, but complain about it, that's
I
a problem.
100% agree with you. And if it was a problem or is a problem, then we would see major changes, but we're not.
Yep.
So
next up, Anthem players are requesting refunds after experiencing various crashes on their systems. Some of these crashes send players back to the main menu of the game, while other crashes have caused PS4s to react as though the power plug has been pulled out of the console improperly during play. One Reddit user even claimed that a crash caused by Anthem has bricked his console, causing it to not turn on properly at all. BioWare head of live services issued a tweet.
it's love services.
Love service, sorry. Issued a tweet announcing that they have, quote, identified several causes for the temp power down crash for some PS4 users experience. Fixes for the top issues are in the patch next week. If you encounter a game crash where your PS4 console won't respond, you can manually power it down and restart it with no risk of damage. He also said in that tweet that on their side of receiving reports, they haven't received any reports about bricked consoles. If you encounter a game crash where your PS4 console won't, I already read that. And a patch being issued on the 12th of March, this issue will be addressed along with 300 other small fixes and quality of life changes.
Yeah, Sony's even made a statement that no consoles have been bricked because of Anthem.
Right. And that's the thing too. Like, sure, maybe this Reddit user either lied,
didn't know how to turn on his PlayStation.
That's what I'm assuming.
Or two, like his PlayStation could have like bricked itself for some other reason, and he might have just been playing Anthem at the same time.
No, because
it happens. I mean, but
it doesn't happen. That's the thing, though, is that like the reports of PS4's bricking, unless it's like
I've seen multiple like Sony developers come out and say this is probably one of the most stable OSs in video games ever. Like, when PS4s don't brick.
When a PS4 bricks, it means that an internal component broke or bugs crawled into your system and ruined it. Like,
which happens.
It's not like Xbox where it's a software problem.
Right. It's pretty incredible how resilient the PS4 is. I started digging into this. Some guy on Reddit started. He's a Sony customer service, and he started laying out a bunch of things. He took like 200 calls that day about Anthem. Sony is not issuing refunds so don't even try it. They gave it to a few people apparently, but now it's not a Sony issue.
It was
anymore.
one of those things where as soon as it became widely reported,
exactly,
Sony was like, no, we can't do this.
Right. Well, it's probably a thing too, where it's like, the first couple of people, it's like, oh, they genuinely just want their money back. It's fine. Now everybody who even beat the game wanted their money back. It's like, okay,
and so he goes on. He's talking about how resilient the OS is, and I started going into it. It's like the amount of bricked PS4s is like super minimal.
Really?
Yeah.
Like reported bricked PS4s.
It's all hardware problems, not software problems.
It's crazy. I never knew it was that resilient of a system.
So the problem that was happening was it was causing your power to your PS4 to think that it wasn't powered down properly.
Some people think it might have been overheating it.
Maybe.
And powering down super weird.
But one of the things is that what people noticed is when they went to turn back on their PS4, if they tried to hit the button on the console or on the controller, it wasn't turning back on.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this guy tried that and was like, oh, my console's bricked. But what he didn't try was...
Safe mode.
Well, he didn't try pulling the power out and plugging it back in. Because that's
the most basic IT fix.
That's what happened to me was that Anthem crashed like pretty hard. And then it went on like the please wait screen where it's like trying to pull up your ability to report it. And then it shut down. And my PS4 wouldn't turn back on. So I was like fucking with it. I unplugged it. Mind you, my PS4 is like 3 weeks old. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it turned on fine. And
did it freak you out for a second?
Well, it did. I was telling you guys because we got together on Tuesday to record. I was telling you guys on Tuesday, like, I'm afraid to play this game. I just dropped $300 on a brand new PS4. I don't want my PS4 to be bricked. On Wednesday, when they said on the live stream, like, hey, it's not going to break your console. This is what you do. And I was like, okay, cool, because if it does break my console, like, we can just make a lawsuit and I can get like a PS5 new PS4s.
Or you're still under warranty for Sony.
That's true.
You just get a brand new one.
That's true. But also, like, if you're directly coming on your stream and you know that it's been breaking consoles and you're still encouraging people to play, like, that's a big deal.
I had one crash fairly hard, but I didn't have to unplug the console. I had to hit the power button twice. I hit it once and it beeped. Nothing came on. I hit it again and it booted up in that rebuild mode where it had to rebuild your database. Okay. I didn't have to go into safe mode, so it didn't hard crash it did hard crash the system, but not so hard that I had to boot it up in safe mode. But when I did get it turned back on, it was like I unplugged the power properly. Okay. So the PlayStation had to rebuild its database before it came back up.
And I think the only ones I've experienced have just been like the game itself crashes, but nothing.
I've had a couple of those too.
You know, regardless of whether or not this is bricking consoles, this is a huge issue.
Yeah, 100%.
And this issue like really comes down to, I think EA and BioWare are responsible for not QA testing their game properly.
Yep.
I also think that this shows in a huge flaw with Sony's certification process.
Yep.
Because there is no reason why a game in this condition should have launched.
That's the one. That's the one that gets me. That it got past Sony certification. I don't want to say it's non-forgivable because I guess it is. What am I going to do? Am I going to fucking go to BioWare and scold them? No, I'm just fuck it. I don't care. It hasn't bricked my console. I crashed a couple times. It's forgivable, I guess, in that sense, right? But it got past Sony cert. Mm-hmm. That is so fucking crazy to me that this got past Sony cert. It's crazy.
And I feel like that almost makes it... that almost makes it okay for now other developers for this to happen to, because now it's like I can just put out shit, get money for it, and as long as Sony says it's okay, I'm good to go.
See, but that's the problem though, is that's what's been happening.
Right.
Is that like the back in the PS3 and Xbox 360 days, both Sony and Microsoft were hardcore about certifying products.
I thought they still were. They're like Warframe. It takes them forever to launch shit on console because it takes forever to get past Sony cert.
Well, and they are with indie developers too. So my thought was, after all this, like just thinking through it, this is just a theory. I have nothing to back it up. My thought was
EA paying under the table to get it passed.
No, my thought was
they just see that it's EA and they say sure.
I think with big developers, they don't give a shit.
God, that's crazy.
Because like. I'm Sony. If you're testing a game, and maybe they didn't catch it, like let's go back to that, or maybe they're not testing it enough. But regardless of the situation, if I knew that Anthem was coming out, and like as far as anyone can tell, digital sales on Anthem have been good. Not that it's selling 6 million copies, but more that like it's performing higher on digital than it is in physical sales. And that's kind of really one of the first games to do that. So if I'm Sony and I'm looking at all these digital pre-orders, or I'm seeing like online store traffic for my game, I'm not going to be like, hey, we actually have to, like, you guys have to fix this. Yeah. You're going to make it as easy as possible because that's money you're taking out of your pocket by making them wait.
Yeah, it's just
and see, crazy. And you told us that on Tuesday, and I was thinking about it, and I think something backing up your theory too is probably why they were giving refunds in the first place. Mm-hmm. If they were like, well, shit, we really didn't check this all that well.
They said that customer service guy said there was a few refunds given. We're talking like
what's a few?
A few is less than 10.
Well, I think that
I don't know.
I think
it really is.
As someone who pretty much exclusively buys their games through the PlayStation Store, if I have a problem with a game, my first thought is never to go request a refund. So I wonder if it was just a really low number of people.
That's what I mean.
Starting in that week and that requesting refunds.
Sure, that's what I mean. Like they said a few. If there was like a lot, they would have said multiple.
Yeah, but I just can't picture Sony customer service or whoever would handle it just giving out refunds for a game.
Let's talk about big businesses here. Are they really going to care enough? It's like, oh, we did wrong, better give refunds out.
Not necessarily
that
they did wrong, but
care.
it's like, well, we didn't check it, so
another theory. But what I'm assuming that they started giving out refunds that weekend, because that's basically when like people started mumbling about it. Was like on Saturday.
Yeah,
people started requesting refunds, so they started paying them out, and then probably by Sunday night they're like, wait, why are we giving out a bunch of Anthem refunds? What's going on?
Sure.
I think between Saturday and Sunday night, they hadn't actually looked at the problem at all.
Possibly.
And then by Sunday, they're like, okay, well, we need to start looking at this. And they realize, we don't need to give refunds for this because this isn't as big of a deal as everyone thinks it is.
Possibly.
I think this also backs up.
They won't give you refunds, so don't try it if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Especially by now.
Yeah.
This also just backs up, the continued theory that I have that Anthem should have been delayed.
Sure.
There's a bunch of reasons why, but the fact that this and the next news story, which I'll read real fast. As BioWare scrambles to fix one major bug in Anthem, Reddit user Yeet Lord Supreme has found another major bug in Anthem. While testing his default weapons versus his masterwork weapons, Yeet Lord Supreme discovered that in spite of his masterwork weapons displaying higher damage numbers, his default level 1 weapons were killing enemies much more quickly. According to a BioWare community manager, this bug is related to an issue with scaling of default loadouts combined with high-level gear. This issue will also be fixed with the upcoming March 12th update. So the fact that that's a major bug.
Sure, but it also means his masterwork guns suck.
I don't know though, because I saw people replicating this with.
Oh, I went and replicated it in my masterwork
and it
guns.
Worked?
My masterwork guns were killing faster than the level 1.
But I also
have really good masterwork guns. Oh, yeah, I definitely saw the video.
Any game that so for those of you that don't understand, basically the first video that was posted about this was this guy posted on Reddit, and then someone replicated it in a video. And the video is basically this guy going out in the free play. He shoots a target, and he's shooting with his default weapon, and it takes something like 4 shots to kill an enemy.
Sure.
And the number being displayed above the head is like 473.
Yeah.
So he puts on his masterwork. He goes back out. It takes like 6 or 7 shots,
and
with
the
his
number's
masterwork,
higher,
and the number is like 1,700.
Right.
Regardless of the quality of his masterworks, that's an issue.
Right.
Sure.
Well, it just shows that the numbers just don't matter.
Sure, it's a scaling issue.
Which is a problem because, like, when you look at a lot of hardcore players had a problem with Destiny sort of shifting to a casual audience, right? Anthem sort of bucked that trend by really like making numbers important. And so if you're the type of player that really enjoys seeing big numbers, and I pointed at Chris for those of you that aren't watching the non-existent video feed. If you really like seeing big numbers and how those scale as you're equipping more and more stuff, because it's not like you're just like doing a bunch of damage. You like seeing how that changes depending on what your loadout is. Like that's a major issue.
Yeah,
I feel like for casual players too, like as someone like Chris understands mechanics of games
so much better than the both of us.
So much better. So, but for me, I'm like, I equip things, and as long as I see my numbers going up,
sure,
usually that means that I'm doing right.
I'm doing all right, man.
You know,
yeah.
But to find out that might not be the case,
yeah,
and
sure, this is a major bug, but I don't think it's a freaking make a YouTube video worthy bug. Because like the people that you just said, nobody, we don't care. But we're not equipping a level 1 to get through a stronghold faster.
We talked about this.
Sure, we could, but we're not.
We talked about this on Tuesday, and the way that I sort of land on this is that, like, you know, the core gameplay of Anthem is better than pretty much any competitor out there. Mm-hmm. The thing about Anthem that I've sort of like landed on between Tuesday and now is that this game tries really hard to make me not like it. In spite of the things that I love about it.
I don't know if it's trying. It's just mistakenly trying to.
Yeah, mistakenly trying. Intentionally or
BioWare didn't make this game. It's like, let's all put these bugs in here so people don't like it.
Intentionally or unintentionally, like, this game constantly is making me not like it. Like, trying to make me not like it in spite of the fact that I love it. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that the way that this game is sort of most secure is in its foundation of gameplay.
Sure.
And so, like, if I have to put up with a billion loading screens or crashes or not getting loot that I need or the slow level, like the ridiculously slow level up process from level 26 to 30, if I have to put up with those games, but I know that the core gameplay is good, like, that's okay for me.
Sure.
But if I'm jumping into a game and the core gameplay is not consistent or it's not even functioning on top of all the other things where this game sort of has shortfalls,
sure,
I think that that's an issue.
Sure. But it's a matter of how much, like, what's your level of love, right? It's the same. It's the kind of same thing with a relationship. It's like, how much do you actually choose to love this person? Do you choose to love this person despite all the flaws that really annoy you? That, you know, all these different things you look at in a relationship. It's kind of like the same thing with a video game. How much do you love this? And if the enjoyment doesn't outweigh the annoyance, then it's time to not play this game anymore. Does that make sense?
But I think it also puts because of the model of live service games, I think it puts an unfair amount of pressure on the user. Because as someone who really loves this game and really wants it to succeed, I kind of like, sometimes I just don't want to play it. Like, or now when I have the situation where I'm like, my weapons and numbers, I can't trust them. I can't trust that I'm actually doing the most damage that I can do. So I want to go play something else. But as someone who loves this game and knows how live service games go, I know that if I fall off this game and give it time to get fixed, there's a good chance that it's not going to be supported for very long because they're not going to see enough numbers of people there to justify the amount of development effort that they're putting into it. If I decide as a gamer, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm kind of done with Anthem. Division comes out. I'm going to focus on Division. And then after Anthem has had a couple of updates and it's really good, I'm going to jump over and play Anthem when it gets better.
Right. You're just worried that if everyone makes that same decision, those updates won't happen.
But also it's EA. Like that, like if I jumped off Division 2, I know that Ubisoft and Massive are going to put the effort in because they've done it before. Mm-hmm. EA is not afraid to stop supporting a product. Yeah. They're not afraid to close down a studio because they're not performing right. Mm-hmm. So like this goes back to all the things that we talked about leading up to Anthem's release. Like there's a lot on the line for Bungie, and I think a lot of that responsibility BioWare. There's also a lot on the line for Bungie, but unrelated. There's a lot of responsibility on BioWare, and I think that in some ways, like, EA is sort of banking on gamers putting up with it because it's a BioWare game.
Yeah, but it's just a video game.
Yeah,
Is
but
it going to ruin your life if Anthem gets canceled?
No, but it's going to make me really sad if BioWare gets closed down, or if this game that like I really believe in doesn't get supported.
BioWare, the further we get away from Anthem, the more I'm convinced BioWare is not going to shut down. But it's also not. Again, I don't know. I'm a different type of gamer. 100% different type of gamer from you.
No, but like
it's not going to kill me that Anthem gets killed.
It's not going to kill me either, but like it also
it just seems like the amount of pressure that you're kind of like talking about is like school pressure. Like it shouldn't be this on the same level.
I think it's just a matter of I don't think that most people that enjoy video games or movies or comics or any of these like kind of nerdy things, I don't think any of us want a product to be bad.
Sure, of course we don't. 100% not.
And so like it would be a bummer to me, and of course I would get over it. I would live through this experience. I wouldn't be in bed crying.
It's like
I think that's just Trey's way of explaining things.
It's the same thing with it's the same thing with movies and me, right? Like you asked me, it's like, hey, did you like this movie? And it's like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's like, and they'd be like, why? It sucked. Justice League is a perfect example. I don't think Justice League sucked. I thought it was fucking awesome. However, most people think Justice League sucked. Anthem's the same way. Anthem has this, like you were saying, pressure. And it's like, I don't feel pressure. I just play the game and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, if you like something, if normal people like something, we want other people to like it.
But also, like, wouldn't it just suck if, because of the way that EA allowed BioWare to launch this game and all the problems that they just have sort of had in the last week, 2 weeks as of tomorrow, wouldn't that suck to see like all the potential of this universe just kind of be thrown in the garbage and never addressed again?
Sure,
because I really like Anthem as a world. It's
but I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I'm not going to either, but I still don't want it to like fail.
Sure, I agree. I just like I said, it's just not. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like number one priority on my list, I guess.
It's also not number one priority.
Okay. So
I think y'all are saying the same thing. It's just an emotional being talking to a robot.
Yeah, that's probably the problem. Yeah, that's probably exactly.
Right. I'm not gonna like dig a fucking pit in the backyard and put your Anthem game case in there to like have a a representative funeral for when this game fails, if it does fail. But like I
like, you wouldn't even go to my funeral. Like, we've talked about this.
Yeah, no, not if it falls on D&D day. Any other day.
That's another thing. I also don't. I think this game was dead on arrival, but I don't think it's not. I don't think it's anywhere near at the point where it's not going to be supported for another 5 years. I still believe that. I don't think we're going to see an Anthem 2, but at least for a few years we're going to get plenty of Anthem updates.
Well, it seems like the fixes are coming relatively quickly. We're not waiting 3 months for things to get
apparently
fixed.
not quick enough. People are complaining that there's not enough updates, and it's like the game came out like
4 updates.
They came out like 2 weeks ago. It's like.
It's still a very much new game.
Yeah.
Pokemon Sword and Shield has been revealed for the Nintendo Switch. The games are set in the Galar region, which appears to be modeled after an industrial and somewhat steampunkish England. The first trailer also revealed the new starters for the game: a monkey grass type, Grookey, the fire rabbit, Scorbunny, and the amphibious water type, Sobel.
Did you see also Pokemon Gun?
Yeah. And the news picked up on that.
And the news picked up by some news in Philadelphia, I think, just went with it.
Yeah, they just posted the picture on there.
I just think it's funny. Investigative journalism, everybody.
It's another Pokemon reveal. It doesn't really matter until we get closer and they actually reveal like why this game is special and different and needs to exist. My favorite thing that came out of this is all the people like making Scottish and Irish Pokemon trainers.
Sure.
Like they'll draw a comic and someone will challenge them to a battle and they'll just start cussing in an Irish accent.
Who's your starter based on what we know so far? And literally this is just by looks.
Yeah.
We don't know Final Evolution.
We talked about this, like, the Final Evolution is what matters. It doesn't matter what they look like in the first one. I'm kind of leaning on either probably more strongly Sobel, but also Scorbunny.
You get to choose one.
I know, but like...
Nope, you don't.
Nope, just choose one. Right off the top of your head. Trust yourself.
Then none of them, because none of them are super compelling. I just won't play.
You'd show up to the professor and you'd be like, "This is it."
What a jackass! Just choose one.
Like it's hard. I don't know.
Scorbunny, because he's a fire rabbit. That's all that needs to be said.
Grookey.
You are
You
totally
look
Grookey.
you look like Grookey. You
As
kind
soon
of
as
look
said
look
it-
like a Grookey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
You're
I
welcome.
I connected with Grookey. I was
look
like,
like
I
a-
saw him. I was like,
You look like a grass monkey chipmunk.
yeah, thanks, man.
That bangs what are those wind reeds on
Yeah.
rocks? Yeah.
It's weird though. Like usually I'm not the grass starter. You know, I prefer even going back to like original. I
know what?
usually pick Squirtle.
You know what's funny? You would think just because how I play Pokemon, I would normally choose like the fire types, but I
You usually
don't.
choose water.
Grass.
Oh.
Torterra, Decidueye.
This is an interesting thing. Let's start
okay.
from Gen 1
Okay.
and go through all of our starters.
Okay. Charmander was that one for sure.
Okay. You could just do your whole list. We'll do
Oh,
ours.
well, I don't know.
Oh,
them
I
all.
don't remember.
Okay,
mine.
so I'll do my
Can you-
list, and this
okay.
might
I'm gonna-
might help you.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
I got.
Let's pull them up.
Charmander, Cyndaquil, Mudkip. Gen 4 was Chimchar. Gen 5 was Tepig. 6 was I want to say Froakie. I think that was the first one, the frog one, and 7 was the fucking owl whose name is escaping me.
Okay. Here we go.
I'm not going to know most of their names, but
Here we
Go
go. Charmander was the first one. Cyndaquil was the second one. Mudkip was the third one.
Wow, our first 3 generations are the same.
Turtwig was the fourth one. Who did I choose? Snivy was that. Snivy was the whatever number we're on. Froakie was the one with Greninja, and then Rowlet was the last one. And then this one will probably be Scorbunny.
Yeah, Rowlet.
I'm all over the place. Holy shit.
Yeah, I generally choose fire types, and it's not on purpose. I generally just like the way the fire types look better.
my first one I know for sure was Squirtle. I always loved Blastoise. Second gen would be Cyndaquil. Third, I want to say was Torchic. And then, what's the fire type?
And 4th gen, Chimchar.
Yeah, Chimchar. After that, I didn't play.
You didn't play, yeah. Well, God, I don't like the 5th gen starters at all.
Yeah,
Which one was fifth again?
5th was Tepig, Snivy, and Oshawott.
Snivy was a good substitute. That's the only reason I chose her. Or him.
I'm talking about looks. I don't. I'm not talking about
purely aesthetics.
scene.
Never mind then.
I
Yeah,
love,
Snivy had
like-
Snivy was the first really good substitute next to Sceptile.
Cyndaquil was my first starter. Fucking love Typhlosion, like just because of that. But like in terms of just like my favorite starter of all time, I've always had like a deep love for Infernape. It's hard because I always if you asked me, I always say Typhlosion because he was my first one, and like you have that bond with your first
Sure,
starter.
it's interesting. I have 2 favorite starters of all time, and they're like the ones you probably wouldn't guess is Greninja.
Oh, I know that.
And Decidueye is the newest one. And
Yeah, I knew that.
I hated Sun and Moon, but I think Greninja and Decidueye are just fucking awesome Pokemon.
And I was talking to Whitney, Chris's girlfriend, about this the other day. Like, over time, Incineroar has grown on me, and I think Smash Bros. Helped a lot with that.
Even though he like flamethrowers out of his dick.
That's more endearing than anything else.
Trey connects with that
Yeah, I
for a
guess.
weird
I
reason.
don't know.
But like just I think Smash Brothers helped a lot with that because playing Smash Brothers and seeing Incineroar and just
Oh, I forgot Incineroar's in Smash
he
Brothers.
cracks me up because he's like the way that he moves around.
He's a wrestler.
He's just a wrestler,
Yeah, he's a
and it's
lucha
so
wrestler.
funny to see a Pokemon like imitating a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like you just think of that. Like, what if we lived in a world where there's just a big cat who's just like acting like fucking John Cena? Well, he's probably more of a heel than anything else. But
Is he?
I don't know good heels that well.
He's a lucha. Let's call him Phoenix and Pentagon. It's the best lucha tag team in the world right now.
sure.
Yeah, you know, of course. Obscure wrestling
It's not
reference.
obscure.
But look at Grookey. Come on, man. He looks so cute.
You
look like Grookey.
like like
I'm going to cosplay Grookey.
Have you ever
Oh
seen,
my
like-
God.
Have you ever seen those things where like people post a picture of them and their dog and they look like their dog?
Yeah.
That's
If-
sort of it's the same thing.
It's a good thing I chose Grookey.
Real fast because we do have 2 big things. Did you guys see that they're doing a set of Detective Pikachu Pokemon cards?
Yeah, Whitney's really excited.
They
for
look
him.
really good. Like they're just like screenshots from the movie, but seeing them like in a still image
Yeah,
like that,
Whitney's really excited for him.
Arcanine looks rad.
Yeah. I personally like the way the Pokemon look in Detective Pikachu. I think they look rad.
I'm a fan of most of them. There's been a few, especially in the newer trailer, that I was like, eh. Not a big fan.
I think
but
they look badass.
I think they look hilarious, and it's kind of like it to me. It has like a Howard the Duck kind of appeal.
And that was
Very
and
much so.
that was the only way it was ever going to work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. Destiny 2's
Here we
Season of the
go.
Drifter started
Here
on
we
Tuesday.
fucking go.
And its start brings about lots of new changes. First and foremost, Gambit has received a new game mode known as Gambit Prime. It pretty much functions like the original mode, but it has shortened to one round and has a bunch of different things that make it a little bit harder. Players can also equip various armor sets that give perks for specific roles like invading enemy games or collecting motes. The Reckoning, described by Bungie as this season's pinnacle PvE activity, also launched its first tier today, with tiers 2 and 3 launching on March 8th and 15th respectively. Finally, new weapons and armor have been added to the game, with the Destiny 1 exotic Thorn coming back in an exotic quest that releases on March 12th.
So before we delve too deep into this, I would just like to point out for the listeners that even though we didn't record on Tuesday, we still spent but we still spent a good 2-3 hours talking about this and Anthem.
You mean Chris and I spent like an hour and a half talking about this, and you spent an hour and a half sitting on your phone not listening.
It's very true.
That's true. You guys went down a rabbit hole.
I'll say it. This is what I told Daniel, and he got mad at me. Sort of mad, not really mad.
He listens to the podcast.
Yeah, I know he is. This is what I told Daniel. This is what I told Trey, and this is what I stand by. I think it's insanely risky for Bungie to base an entire season on Gambit. Out of everything they have in that game, an entire season based on a game mode that has the lowest player interaction out of everything they have is beyond me.
Right.
I just don't get it.
It definitely seems like they're just.
I mean,
their idea is like, let's make content that we want people to play this thing, so let's put a bunch of shit in that.
So I say that, and I know why it's here. I know why season 2 of year 2 is Gambit, is because Gambit launched in Forsaken, and this was already planned. And Bungie takes so long to develop games, it's not like they could change their mind. They had to go with this in season 2 because this is what they were going to go with in the first place. It just baffles me that they thought Gambit was going to be such an activity that the entire Destiny community was going to love it. And it's the lowest interacted activity in Destiny.
To me,
next to the raids. Raids are the lowest. I'm sorry. Raids are lowest, and it's Gambit.
To me, this points out more than ever that the season pass model for a live service game is the worst thing that you could possibly do. Because I think, beyond... I do agree it's risky. I don't think you're wrong at all by saying that. I think it's more unfair to your players to focus an entire paid DLC that you can't opt into. You have to buy a $40 season pass that includes
unless
this.
You're up front with us. Unless at Forsaken you're up front with, hey, season 2 of your annual pass is going to be based on Gambit.
But even then, like, if Destiny is your game, if that's what you play, and you because there were Rich, who is in the other room right now, Rich played Destiny 1 even when there was nothing happening in Destiny 1.
Yep.
If you're the type of player who is just playing Destiny and you have to wait 3 months for a new update, and you're paying for an update exclusively for a mode that you don't give a shit about, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And then those same people have to wait ostensibly until June for the next season.
Right.
Like, that's just not cool. And so, like, we were talking about this on Tuesday, like, I would be down to try this out and give it a shot and see how I feel about it if I didn't have to pay for it. If Anthem comes out and they release, an update that is all focused on some new PvP mode, I'm not going to be into that, but I'm not paying for it, so who gives a shit?
Sure.
I can't be mad at them.
Sure.
I can't be frustrated
100%.
about the game because it's I'm just not going to play.
I can because I've paid for it.
Yep.
And I don't play it. Because I literally don't give a shit about Gambit. Oh, but the pushback is, but there's the Reckoning. It's like the only reason you go and do the Reckoning is to get Gambit gear to go do Gambit Prime.
But the other
That's it.
But the other thing about the Reckoning that I didn't realize until I watched Dado's video on it is you can't do the Reckoning
unless you win a Gambit Prime match.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So
You
if you
have
go
to
in
play-
solo.
You have to play Gambit Prime to get the things to start the Reckoning.
Yeah.
To be fair, you might be able to actually play the Reckoning without it, but you're not going to get
There's
reward.
no point whatsoever to play the Reckoning.
You're not going to get a reward. And the other thing that's the Reckoning, it's such a good idea. It's like set in like 9 space.
Sure, it's horde mode in a really it's horde mode in a really cool setting.
The rumor is that tier 3, the boss is going to be sort of like a Taken version of Oryx that the Drifter created.
That. Yep.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yep.
That's really cool. And they waste, like, it's all tied to Gambit. That sucks.
And fuck, man. It's just I don't get it. I just don't. I mean, I do because they had this. This was part of their plan when Forsaken launched. So and like I said, Bungie is such a slow developer that they didn't have time to change it. I get it. I just don't understand.
Why was that the plan from the beginning?
Right. There's no way in the world Bungie thought Gambit was going to be the biggest success story of Destiny. There's just no way. It's a really cool game mode. But it's you know what? But semi-original, but it's not.
Even if you do think that something's going to be successful, like you can work and add things to that while still putting out these big events that has a little bit for everybody.
Sure.
But on the other side of that, though, like, I really believe that in terms of like a mode in Destiny that should have existed from the beginning, and that really represents Destiny at its best in PvP, because I think its other PvP modes are horrible and suck.
PvP in Destiny is just sure, go.
I think Gambit is that mode.
I agree.
And I told you guys back before Forsaken launched, I had watched a live stream where someone was like shoutcasting a Gambit match between streamers.
Yes.
And that was the first time I've ever watched Destiny and thought, you could have an esport Destiny.
I 100% agree with you. And going off that, I fully believe that Gambit is probably the
future of Destiny PvP in Destiny 3.
Yes. Because we talked about this on Tuesday. PvP in Destiny 2 from the beginning has always seemed like an afterthought. It just seemed like they had to throw it in there because maybe Activision wanted. It's like, you can't launch a first-person shooter without a PvP mode. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking? Fine, we'll do PvP. Here's all this. Well, let's make it 4v4. Let's make it a little bit more casual friendly. And then the Destiny 1 PvP crowd was like, oh my God, I can't believe you sawed our dick off. 6 people. They changed it. They tried trials. It's not working because the whole baseline of Destiny 2 is not built for PvP. It's built for PvE. Mm-hmm. So PvP has been this complete and utter clusterfuck since year 1 of Destiny 2. And I brought this up Tuesday because I truly believe this. Luke Smith has gone on record saying, yes, we're working on Destiny 3, and yes, Destiny 3 is going to be leaning way heavily into the RPG side of what Destiny is, which makes me think that this is their test for PvP for Destiny 3. Mm-hmm. Which it's great.
It's great.
I think this is probably the burst. This is the best version of Gambit ever.
Yeah.
It really is. I watch it. I enjoy watching it. I don't like playing Gambit, especially since we play solo quite often, because this solo sucks. But I think this is the best version of Gambit.
Right. If that's what you're looking for.
If that's what you're looking for. So Destiny 3 comes out. Gambit is a major thing because it's Guardian versus Guardian. I really think Destiny 3 is going to be light versus dark. So this is going to be the PvP. It's going to be Gambit, right? But then, like I said on Tuesday, 6-7 months ago, Bungie filed for Matter. Like, I think Matter is going to be Bungie's PvP. Matter is going to be like a battle royale game coming out from Bungie. That's going to satisfy the PvP players that need Bungie PvP, because Bungie gunplay is amazing. Mm-hmm. Better than Call of Duty, better than Battlefield, better than all these other first-person shooters that have PvP. Bungie feels the best. Well, so they make Matter for PvP, Destiny 3 for the PvE crowd. Everyone's happy in 2020.
Well, and I said too,
until one beats out the other.
Yeah, sure, right, exactly.
And I said too, when we were talking about this on Tuesday, like, to me, we were talking about how Sleeper and Queen Breakers is really overpowered for invaders, but in my mind, that doesn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. Because,
it matters in PvP. It matters in Crucible. But to me, like, you don't have to, like, to me, it doesn't matter, because if you're bouncing for PvE, everyone has the same access to the thing, and the invaders represent 1% of a Gambit match.
Sure.
And you as you as a defender can easily have your own Queen Breakers or Sleeper to fight that guy off.
If your RNG is good.
If your RNG is good. But also, like, if you're the type of person that's playing high level fucking Gambit matches, you probably have them. So in my mind, like taking away the crucible and throwing that into matter means that you can like balance weapons a lot better.
You don't have to keep nerfing shit. You don't have to keep taking cluster bombs and lowering the damage of cluster bombs by 80%.
Like,
you don't have to take Whisper where you could have 20 fucking bullets in your reserves and taking it down to 9. Whisper only has 9 fucking bullets in it. So if you're not the best fucking sniper in the world, kiss your Whisper goodbye. You just sit on it for a boss round. No longer can you take out your sniper rifle, look so fucking cool taking out, majors. You have to hold your fucking ammo until a boss round. They did that because of PV fucking P. People were using Whisper to snipe across lanes and they didn't have to have fucking heavier special ammo. It's so fucking annoying that a game as good as Destiny is always being stifled by PvP.
But you have to balance it that way.
You do.
There is not a way to get around it.
I understand. It's just so fucking annoying.
Right.
And the thing about
they can't really coexist.
We were talking about powerful weapons. Sleeper and Whisper are both exotic quests that anyone can do.
Yes,
to the
they
strongest
can.
gun.
Sure,
So
yeah.
everyone has equal access to it,
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to move on. We have 15 minutes left.
It bothers the fucking shit out of me because whatever. Because in Anthem you can have a fucking sniper rifle that does 1.9 million damage to a boss,
Right,
and guess what's never going to be touched? That weapon or that build.
It's all cooperative. You're all working together.
If you're doing
my
1.9 million damage to a boss, maybe something should happen to it.
No, well, there's a lot of things happening. There's like all 4 players putting on debuffs, and there's a lot of things going.
Sure,
into
but 1.9 million is a lot.
But it's badass.
But if I look over and I see my fellow javelin, or my fellow friend doing this, I'm like, hey, you do you, man.
You got it, buddy.
You go. As long as I'm getting that loot at the end,
there is a ceiling though. Like I don't want to be the fucking like curmudgeon about Anthem. There is a ceiling. Like it really sucks.
2 million is a ceiling. Let's be honest.
1.9.
It really sucks when you jump into like a game or a mission and you've been like working towards getting to that mission. You just want to play the 15-minute mission, and someone is so good at that game that you can't do anything.
Right. Or you just feel useless.
And not only does it suck because you don't get to play.
Sure.
It also sucks because experience points and medals and your faction or whatever it's called, your alliance experience is tied to how well you perform.
Sure.
So that's one of the biggest problems is that they made like this faux competitive thing that shouldn't exist. Everyone should get the same amount of XP no matter what medal.
To be honest, like the differential in XP at the end of that, even if you sucked, is like maybe 500.
It still feels bad.
It's never that.
It still
much.
feels bad when I'm level 20 playing with you and Daniel at level 30, and you guys are consistently just outperforming. And I'm not getting as much experience points when I actually fucking need it, and you guys don't.
You hold the skip all button and you just act
like
it didn't
there you go.
happen.
Just get to my loot, man.
You're like, I did great. I give myself the badass medal.
Last up, we'll quickly talk about this. Ubisoft has revealed details on Division 2's post-launch content with its $40 season pass. Players will be getting free narrative content called Episodes starting in summer 2019 to winter 2019. The free post-launch content also includes new PvE and PvP modes, new class specializations, and a raid that will release shortly after the game's launch.
8-person raid.
8-person raid. Those that purchase the season pass will receive all episodes 1 week early, the new year 1 specializations as they are released, 8 classified assignments, exclusive base projects, exclusive cosmetics, and exclusive bounties. The trailer specifically talks about year 1 content, and it seems to hint at future content past winter 2019.
I'll get past this as quickly as I possibly can. There was a dev stream Wednesday.
4 minutes.
There was a dev stream Wednesday where they definitely dove way deep into Endgame. And Endgame very much, this is amazing the way they did this. They literally you beat the game, and once you hit level 30, World Tier 1 unlocks. And guess what happens? The entire map resets. And it's not like it goes back to level 1 beginning. All new shit pops up. So then you go and you start getting your gear score up. Once you hit a certain gear score, you can go do like the boss mission of World Tier 1, which is kind of like it should be like a 4-person kind of like mission, right? You go do that. Guess what happens after that? World Tier 2 unlocks and the whole map resets again. And the way you get to each one of these world tiers is different. Each stronghold is different, all the way up to World Tier 5. And in between that, they're still adding story shit. Bounties come up, different ways to get missions, different types of missions come up that forward the story. It's amazing.
I just have to say this, like,
They literally did New Game Plus New Game Plus,
But also-
all the way to, oh my God, it's fucking ridiculous.
We're not going to have time to talk about it today, but we all played.
We
the beta.
will.
We will talk about it,
Oh,
just
we're
not
gonna
today.
talk about it in depth, sir, because I get this game on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on
good.
Tuesday, but we're not going to be able to talk about the beta. But I will say that, the beta does a really cool thing where after you play through the level 1 through 5 content, it puts you at the end game, and it lets you play a level 30 character and see
Which
what
is
that's
ridiculously fun.
like. That experience is the most fun I have ever had playing just a live service game. I had so much fun with that. And so the more that I hear about Division, the more that I hear this, they constantly are hammering on in-game first, in-game first, in-game first. The more I hear about it, the more I'm like, if Anthem never becomes what I want it to be,
Sure.
If I
We
play
have Division.
Destiny 3, I feel like Division is going to be my game for a really long
Yeah,
time.
I completely agree with that.
It was fucking transformative.
Yeah,
that experience. It was so much fun.
I'm pretty excited for Division. Again, though, I don't. It's a live service game.
Yep.
It's going to crash when it first launches. You're going to have issues. You're going to have bugs. Weapons aren't going to work. Damage numbers are going to be wrong. You're going to get an exotic at the end of the game, and it's not doing the damage it's supposed to be. A gear set's going to be broken. Your favorite sniper rifle probably won't do what it's supposed to be doing for 2 weeks. Just get ready for that.
You know what? But the way that it's beating Destiny and
Anthem, sure.
is that there's shit to do.
Sure. Yeah,
My
you're
guns
right.
don't work. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I got 4 tiers of New Game Plus to go through.
5 tiers. There's World Tier 5.
That's crazy. That's really exciting, though.
It is exciting.
Quick saves.
You're never going to beat it.
According to
World Tier 5? No, God,
Yeah,
no.
I might not even beat World Tier 5. According to Sony Bend, Days Gone will be around 30 hours with 20% or 6 hours of its length comprised of cutscenes.
I know we've never ragged on this game, but we've been very skeptical about this
I've been
game.
skeptical. You've been like, oh, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, there's been a shit ton of people that are like, holy crap, this game's good.
That's what I said on, I think I said this on Tuesday.
Greg
or I
Miller
said it on the
was
podcast.
just praising the shit out of this game.
I am not. I still don't believe in this game. I don't care what anyone says.
Sure.
I think the way
even though the god of video games betrayed, Greg Miller is gushing about
friend
it.
of the show, Greg
Friend of the
Miller.
show, yeah.
Well, I mean, also kind of funny. Games Daily is in trouble because they've been gushing about Anthem and their fans are mad about it. But anyways,
that's because they understand the games are just supposed to be fun.
but I still think there's a fishy way that Sony's been marketing it in a way that they didn't market the rest of their games.
Sure, yeah,
it
maybe.
seems like Sony doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
That being said, just got done playing Detroit. Played a
Yeah.
little bit of God of
Yeah.
War, and aside from that, I have played every other major Sony
Hey, you
exclusive.
got to play it, man.
So I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
Because if even me not necessarily believing in this product, I believe in Sony, and they have yet to lead me wrong this
I
generation.
agree. Also, I am going to play this just because it's Sons of Anarchy meets The Walking Dead, and that sounds great.
It's a good call.
Yep.
Friday the 13th is coming to the Nintendo Switch this spring. This edition of the game will include all of the available DLC. However, the Kickstarter exclusive characters will not be available
Whatever.
on the
I
Switch.
don't.
nuts.
Whatever. Just whatever.
It's the game everyone wanted.
Pokemon. That's all I care. That's all anybody cares about.
Fire Emblem.
Oh, good call. But that's not till. Oh no, that's in fall.
July.
Yeah, that's in July.
Before
You're right,
Pokemon.
You're right.
Animal Crossing.
That's
That's the one that everyone wants.
Except they are not talking about it, so
I know, and it
forward
drives
to-
me crazy.
But they
forward
gave
to
you
Animal
Animal
Crossing
Crossing
in
on your
2020.
phone.
I know.
Just play it.
Gearbox is holding a main theater show at PAX East 2019 and has teased that it will be revealing, quote, never before seen reveals, end quote. This, of course, has led to rampant speculation that we will see Borderlands 3 revealed at PAX East. The Gearbox show is set to happen on March 28th, and also this would not be the first time they disappointed us. If they
Yeah,
refused to
seriously.
I was just about to say,
Whatever,
the disappointed
whatever.
crowd.
Randy Pitchford's a douche. If they announce Borderlands 3, I'll be happy. But Randy Pitchford's still a douche.
Borderlands VR 3.
I know.
I will never forget the first year of PAX South.
Oh yeah,
I will tell that story for years.
We've told it for. Oh my god, Randy Pitchford's a douche. I'd be excited if Borderlands 3 was announced. I showed you those the mock-ups of those leaked images. They look like
They
fucking
look
cool
rad.
characters.
Yep.
But Randy Pitchford's a douche, so we have no fucking clue.
Right, and you're not going to get excited about a possible rumor like they might be doing this.
Yeah, sure.
EA is holding another EA Play this year from June 7th through the 9th. This year, the company plans on skipping their media briefing and instead plans on hosting multiple streams throughout the weekend.
Good for them.
Yeah.
You skipped the Guerrilla Games one.
Oh, yeah, I did. Guerrilla Games managing director Herman Hulot, actually, it's supposed to be Holt. I don't know why it autocorrected to Hulot, revealed via the PlayStation blog that Horizon Zero Dawn has sold well over 10 million units, which is fucking incredible.
How does your phone or your computer correct Holt to Hulot?
Sorry, apparently it thinks the name cat is Jay.
Jay, sure. What are you looking up that's Hulot?
You know what? I do a lot of D&D
Hulot.
prep on my phone.
Yeah.
Google
And I
Hulot
think
real
Hulot
quick.
does sound like a D&D name for sure.
I think D&D has fucked up autocorrect on my phone because like I'll be typing like lateral and it will change it to larial. No. It's like, you don't mean lateral. You never use that word.
Hulot is Finnish, and it is a nominative plural form of hula. Hula means
A hula hoop?
no.
I was thinking like Hawaiian.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but there's a lot of word. I don't know. I don't want to try it.
Thanks,
this
Google.
is what it gave me.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Last up, the newest PS4 update now allows you to stream your games on an iOS device using the PS4 remote app. Yeah, that's
I didn't
rad.
know that.
Just imagine you're over in Round Rock seeing Whitney's mom. You're like, man, I really wish I had my PS4.
Whitney's mom lives in Dripping.
Dripping. I don't know why I said Round Rock. Lives in Dripping. You're over there hanging out. You're like,
Sure.
man, I really wish I had my PS4, but
Sure.
I can't because I have to do family things
Sure.
and be a good boyfriend.
Sure.
You fucking just bring your PS controller.
Sure.
And like have your iPhone that you don't have.
Sure, I
and
don't
you
have an
just
iPhone.
Play on
Yep.
your
Nope.
iPhone.
Still can't.
I'm pretty
can't
sure
do
it's
it.
already on Android though.
Nope, still can't. But how do you do that? You can't do that.
Don't they have to be on the same
Don't they-
Wi-Fi
I don't know. I don't know how this works.
Well, I would assume this
for
is
remote
just,
play?
this is just me. If it's not happening now, no, they don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi.
Oh, I
But,
assume
No.
that's how.
If it's how- it would work the same way it did on the Vita.
But
The
so
Vita,
then-
you could be at the airport and be playing your PS4.
But so
as
then
long as
I'm
you had a good
but so
Wi-Fi
then I'm
connection.
also going to have some sort of program on my phone to recognize DualShock 4 controllers.
Well,
and the
hopefully,
inputs.
if it's not already the case, which it should already be the case, if you launched a PS4 remote play app without this feature, you're fucking stupid, Sony.
Sure, yeah. I agree.
But
touch controls.
PlayStation controllers connect via Bluetooth, so the
Sure,
app
yeah.
should already be able to recognize the
you
PS4
would
controller.
you would assume.
You would assume,
Sure, yeah.
yes, and if it doesn't, get your shit together, Sony.
Yeah, sure, but like on a Windows PC, you would assume just connecting the controller to a Bluetooth on your PC, it
does
works,
work.
but not automatically. It doesn't.
No, yeah, you do need drivers.
You need drivers.
Well, it
And
depends.
you also need certain programs to because
See-
it works as a Microsoft. You have to trick your PC to think it's a Microsoft controller.
Unless you're playing a game, unless you're playing something on Steam, because Steam now supports PS4 controllers.
Sure, but it's-
or certain games do.
Sure, but it's really bad. Like it's just like it's not as good as plugging as a Microsoft controller. It just works so much better.
I don't know. I had a good, aside from the fact that when I was playing games on my PC and using the Bluetooth component, I had to install a program that recognized the DualShock 4 as a controller.
Yeah.
Once I did that, I had a great time. Playing,
Well, that's we
playing
we use
Bluetooth on my-
I use DS4. It's a DS4 Windows. It
That's what
works.
I use.
That's the thing is like theoretically, I shouldn't have to even use that. I should just have to connect Bluetooth and Windows pulls drivers and it just works.
I'm pretty
But it
sure.
does not.
I'm
work
pretty
like
sure on Steam it does work.
that. Maybe, but I don't. I mean, I don't play a lot of things on Steam with controllers.
Because I think the thing that DS4 does is it's not tricking your PC; it's tricking your game.
sure, it's tricking your game to think to
Yeah.
recognize it an Xbox controller.
So
Yes,
if the
100%.
game should be able to recognize a PS4 controller already, then it should just work.
Sure,
Bluetooth
but
and be fine.
I tried playing Grand Theft Auto just through Steam, and it just the controller just felt off. Like the input lag was weird. But then I launched Grand Theft Auto with DS4 running, and it worked like a
Interesting.
fucking charm.
Good to know. That's the end of our episode this week, guys. We gotta tear down all this shit and get ready for D&D.
Hey, we did it on time though. That was really good.
That's not too bad.
It also really helps me seeing the fucking time because I can be like, we gotta wrap this up. We've been talking for 15 minutes about this thing.
Hey, Bert, you're fired.
Yeah. If you guys like what we do, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We do have a new listener. Hopefully he doesn't hate us.
Hey, who's our
So-
new listener?
He is someone I hosted an event for at my job.
Hey, rad ass.
And they were playing Nintendo Switch on a movie theater screen, and it was fucking cool.
At
it's
900p?
Well, actually, the dock outputs to 1080p.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It is.
Oh.
Whether or not the games are actually performing in 1080p.
I was gonna say,
but it was crazy.
I don't even think Zelda runs at 1080p.
because they were playing
144.
they were playing
Smash, probably.
Tetris 99.
Oh,
Let me tell you,
I bet that's badass.
Well, not only because the Tetris 99, it has the other 98
Yeah.
so you can actually see what they're doing, which I'm sure if you're playing, you're not paying attention to. The music on a fucking crazy sound system. The song, if you guys have not listened to the main theme of Tetris 99, you need to listen to it. It's really good.
It is good.
Because it's just like a remix. But
What are you doing?
But yeah, it was really fucking rad. And then they played Smash Brothers, and that was fun. He said he was going to start listening because we were talking about it.
Sweet. Hey, you're a rad ass, man. It's my new thing.
Rad ass.
Rad ass.
You're a rad ass.
That's rad ass, man.
You can follow all of us on Twitter as well. I'm sorry, you can. Yeah, I already said that. You can follow all of us on Twitter as well. I'm at Darth Trey. Chris is at Shortchange Hero with the 3 instead of the Ian Hero, and Justin is at Justin T Lopez.
That's me.
The show is produced and
Don't
edited
interrupt
by
Trey.
Yeah, because no one ever does that. The show is
He
produced.
doesn't like it when you interrupt him.
I hate it.
Who produces us?
Everett Jordan.
Just stop, okay?
I fucking can't talk. You're going to do it again. Show's produced and edited by Everett Jordan. Follow him in the universe with your mind. Send good thoughts his way. And our theme song is by Connor Manning. Go to downstreamstudios.com, tie him to your theme song, and follow him on Twitter for cute pictures
I thought
of
of something you
dogs
can
at
do.
Connor13.
I thought of something you can do for Everett. Buy him canes and send it to his home,
Ooh, that's a good idea. Or Taco Bell.
or just talk about it.
And his address is...
No.
Well, how are they going to send it to his home if they don't know his address?
just
P.O.
look-
Box.
Find him on Twitter.
Just go to his P.O. box, and it's thousands of rotten kids.
Yeah. Find him on Twitter, find him on Facebook, however you need to find him. Look him up, find out what he looks like, and if you run into him, buy him Taco Bell or Canes.
I'm gonna go ahead and say don't do that.
I'm literally.
I just want to be on record saying don't.
I'm basically asking our listeners to stalk Everett.
He could use some company. It's fine.
Hey, if you can find him, like, bravo to you.
Yeah, no joke. We have a hard time finding him.
The number one rule about our friends in Twin Stick Radio is that Justin will always arrive 10 minutes early unless we absolutely need to record at a certain time, in which case he will arrive 1 minute late. And Everett will never text us when he's late, but he will always text us when he arrives 40 minutes to an hour early.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris is always on time.
Yeah.
And Trey sleeps
Or
a lot.
early. Yeah, and Trey does
Trey
sleep
does
a lot. He sleeps quite a bit.
Generally speaking, I'm getting better. I'm never really more than 5 or 10 minutes late, which is better than it used to be. I'm improving.
Sure, I know. Yes, in your bubble, you're improving.
It used to be real bad.
Hey, let's go play D&D.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye.